Yo, 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 what's good with it, y'all? It's your boy Lamborghini Preem back once again talking this boxing shit. And I'm just this video right here is my personal prediction and just a few extra thoughts on the upcoming fight between my man Adrien the Problem Broner and Omar, the undefeated Omar Figueroa. Now, this fight is slated to be at 140, and that makes a big difference for a number of reasons. But the last time we saw Omar Figueroa, he was in the ring beating the shit out of Robert Guerrero and actually stopped him, which I give him a lot of credit for, man, because even though the Ghost was on the other side of his career, on the downside, the Ghost is still a bad motherfucker, man. He's not an easy guy to stop, man. So you got to give anybody a lot of credit who's able to do something like that under any circumstances. So, shout out to Figueroa, and he's still undefeated. I believe he has a great chance to win this fight, but shit, man, I'm tired of saying this shit, but I gotta state it as it is. Skill wise, Adrien Broner should have no trouble dispatching Omar Figueroa. He should have no trouble winning this fight. This should be not necessarily easy work for him, but he should look really good doing it. The style of Omar Figueroa is tailor-made for somebody like Broner for a lot of reasons. Broner is faster. Broner has better timing. Broner is just more athletic. I believe Broner got equal to, if not more, power because I just believe Broner power is underrated. However, the X factor remains the same as it is in all Broner fights because the last time we saw him, he was in the ring getting his ass whooped for 12 rounds straight. Well, not 12 rounds straight. I gave him 3 rounds, but for the majority of rounds against my man Mikey Garcia in an embarrassing outing. Now, do I believe that Broner lost something in that fight? No. I honestly believe that Mikey Garcia deserves a lot more credit for that fight than he's been getting, man. It's not because it wasn't that, Broner took the fight off or didn't give a fuck or something like that. It was just that it was an accumulation of Broner's lack of focus catching up to him, plus the fact that Mikey Garcia is a great fighter. I believe he's a pound-for-pound fighter. His timing is impeccable. His jab, his fundamentals, all of those things, they really, really, really benefited him in that fight against Broner, where Broner's athleticism seemed like it could have really took over in the second half of the fight, especially after round 8, after round 9, I say. That was when Broner really started to come on, and you could see that Mikey staying patient, sticking to his jab and using his timing was really, really what helped him pull that fight out at the end, because I feel like Broner could have definitely came on physically because he could have dominated Mikey, but he just couldn't do it because, it wasn't enough time left in the fight to do anything to win the fight, and it wasn't enough, like Mikey didn't give him enough to work with it to, hurt him or put him in a position to where he could, even things up as far as, the fight went, or at least bring him back in the fight somehow, so that's basically the same. We right back at the same square one we've been at. Although I do believe that, I believe Broner is very disappointed in his loss with Mikey Garcia. And I believe that's a double-edged sword because I think it's the cause of a lot of the depression that Broner been going through. You know what I mean? This roller coaster up and down shit. Like every time you look at his Instagram, sometimes some days he up, some days he down. That kind of shit. Those kind of things come from being faced with the loss to Garcia and Porter and Maidana. The Porter and Maidana fights, not necessarily so much. They didn't seem to really get to AB as much as the Mikey Garcia one really seems to bother him. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's because he knows with the Garcia and not Garcia, with the Matisse, not Matisse. I got Matisse on the brain. I just saw that fight with him and Karam, but it's Maidana with the Maidana and the Porter fight, I believe AB maybe thought that, especially in the fight with Maidana, if he'd have fought a different type of fight, he could have won that easy. I actually believe that. I do believe that. If he'd have fought that from the outside and not try to get, just try to do his usual thing and bully Maidana, he'd have had a better shot at winning that. Would he have still won it? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, I believe Maidana would have landed some of that hot shit on him, and it still would have put him down at least once in that fight. It's just my personal opinion, you know what I mean? His lack of experience plus a certain level of arrogance would have lended itself well to him getting his ass dropped. And Sean Porter is just, I've been said this, he's been too big to fight a AB. But, AB's skill give Porter, I mean, that's a good notch, a good name to have on your resume, so it is what it is. But I believe that AB may be thinking in his head that, if he'd have trained a little harder, worked a little harder, really had a little more focus, that he could have beat Sean Porter. But I believe that with Mikey Garcia, I think AB was in pretty good shape for that fight. And I think AB just lost. He just lost, you know what I mean? And I think that really, really, really gets to him. You know what I'm saying? I think it really gets to him. And I think he knows that the reason that he lost wasn't because Mikey's necessarily a better fighter than him. I think he just realized in that fight, more than any other fight, that all his bullshit had caught up to him. All the drinking, all the partying, all the whatever else he doing, or may not be doing. All that shit, man, caught right up to him, man. Caught right up to him, and for once, his ability couldn't bail him out. I believe that mentally that has him in a weird space, man. He needs to. This fight is big for him. It's going to be big for him because it's going to prove to him whether or not he still got it. Because you take an L to a guy like Omar Figueroa and you a guy like Adrien Broner, you're on the downside of your career, and that's a scary thought, man. That's a scary thought. And honestly, like I said before, I don't believe Mikey Garcia beat Broner because of shenanigans per se in that fight. I just believe that the history of shenanigans caught up with him. One guy had a history of fucking around. One guy had a history of working hard, and it showed. When it came time to get in them trenches, it showed. And I believe that shit scared AB, and it might have scared him enough to actually do the right things for this fight. We gonna see. We gonna see, because in my opinion, if he does the right things, if he's been, if he really made a change, then we should see him dominate Omar Figueroa easily. But if he didn't, which is sad to say it, but it's highly likely that he didn't. If he's still fucking around, still bullshitting, like I saw an interview with Freddie Roach where they was like, oh yeah, Broner says he's focused now, and Roach was like, man, I just seen him at the mall shopping and shit. How focused is that? I'm just like, wow. And then I think to myself, would a guy like Pacquiao be at the mall during this training camp? Would a guy like Miguel Cotto be at the mall during this training camp? Would a guy like Floyd Mayweather? Actually, Floyd Mayweather would be at the mall, but he'd go to the mall and then go train from like 1 a.m. all the way to 7. You know what I mean? Like, he'd go to the club but won't sip no liquor, won't smoke no blunts, won't do none of that shit. He'll fucking leave the club and then go run 6 miles. AB ain't built like that. AB if he go to the club, he see one of his niggas up in there, the right nigga, he gonna pull up. No matter if it's in the middle of a motherfucking training camp. AB more Chavez Jr. than he is Floyd Mayweather Jr., so as far as that go. But like Freddie Roach said, if he can take himself somewhere and make himself secluded, and, maybe things can happen, but I don't know, man. It's looking bleak for AB, man. If he can't win this fight, man, it's getting close to the end, And I don't want to see that, so I'm really hoping this man is really doing what he say he doing. I'm really hoping he training hard, because I don't want to see my man out the game so early, you know what I mean? Or, just lose his prime so early. It would just be devastating to see that. And I don't think that's the case. Like I said, I feel like Mikey Garcia is just a great fighter, you know? On top of the fact that, he's notorious for living right, and AB's are notorious for not living right outside of the ring. And these things matter because they add up. When you have two great fighters and the skills is relatively similar, the things that separate them on the highest level be the littlest shit. You know what I'm saying? One guy putting in work every day and one guy sipping here and there, one guy cutting corners, one guy not. Those things are going to show, and that's what wins you the fight, you know? So, my official prediction for this fight is for AB to win by stoppage. But if I was a betting man, I would hold off on betting on this shit, man. Because if you're going to bet on this shit, man, understand that it's a hell of a risk. I would hedge the play, like my man Dwyer would say. I would hedge the play. If you're going to bet, I would say AB by knockout, Omar Figueroa by decision. Because I don't think Figueroa would knock out no AB. He might be able to hurt AB, but who knows how the weight situation is going to affect him, because when he fought Guerrero, that was at 147 if I'm not mistaken, and this fight is at 140, and those little 7 pounds seem to really affect people. So, I mean, I don't know. We don't know how this is going to affect Figueroa, but I expect him to come in and be the same Figueroa we used to seeing. I don't expect him to be too fucked up behind it. I expect him to be ready. He knows this is his shot, This is his shot at stardom, so he's going to come hungry and ready. If AB is on top of his game like he's supposed to be, it should be easy work. He should look good, and that's what I expect. So, personally, I'm going AB by knockout, Figueroa by decision if it go down like that. And for those that fuck with me, make sure you head over to my official site, hustlegameboss.com, and check out my all new album, It's My Turn, the Throne Ascension LP. It's a motherfucking classic, and it's everywhere like broken glass, baby. You can find it on Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, Google Play, Tidal, big shout out to Tidal, Amazon Music, YouTube, anywhere. When you enjoy any of those outlets, even Xbox Live, you enjoy any of those outlets, just search the Supreme General and my shit will pop up. I will appear, you know what I'm saying? And shit, yeah, that's it right now. So holla at me, man. I'll be at the next I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make it to this fight. I might be able to make it to the AB fight, but I'm hoping it's at the Barclays. They ain't really announced it, but if it's at the Barclays, I'll definitely be there. But if it's not at the Barclays, then I have to pick another fight to go to a little later on in the year. I got some shit going on around the same time that this is expected to go down. I should be filming. But hopefully, from the date I saw, it looked like my video shoot be a little bit before that. So I should be able to make it out to this fight, man. If you at the fight, man, you see me, man, say what's up, man. I don't bite. I ain't on that other Hollywood shit. You know what I mean? You see me, I'ma say what's up. I'm a real nigga just like you. So you know how I go. I'ma see y'all later. I'm on to the next one. Fuck with the best.